Hello, you spicy bean. If you guys are new, welcome on in. My name is Harriet. I love to film these TBR videos. If you guys have never seen a video like this before, I have a jar full of random prompts that I've come up with, and these are gonna help me pick a book from my shelves. I think this month I'm gonna go with 8 books. Full transparency, I am still kind of in a bit of a reading slump. I'm just not reading as much as I normally am. I'm in the middle of the Throne of Glass series, so ideally, I would love to be able to continue it. So that's kind of on my radar, but other than that, literally no preference. Just easy books that are gonna get me back into the swing of reading. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Prompt number 1, I'm just gonna go right on the top. Book you think you'll hate. Why? This is like the worst prompt for being in a reading slump. It's kind of hard because most of these books, I think I'll like because I bought them, but I think I'm going to pick Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I don't know if hate is the right word, but from everything I've heard about this book, it's kind of everything that I don't think I enjoy in a romance. And this is kind of a newer release. It's really popular, so I feel like it would be nice to understand the Elsie Silver hype. Everything I know about this book is it's about the world's hottest billionaire and this girl who moves back to this small town of Rose Hill. He wants to build a recording studio, I think, and I think she helps him with it. And then I also believe he's a single dad. So that's all I know. Honestly, not my kind of book, from just based on the sound of it, but I'm open-minded and I'm hoping this book will surprise me. Prompt number 2, I'm gonna go in a little deeper for this one. Let's go for this one down here. Book published this year. Okay, well, Wild Love was one of them. I actually have I know what I could pick. Oh, this is exciting. I think this Liane Moriarty book was published very, very recently. Yeah, 2024. Let me just see if we have any other options because I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket. 2023, 2014, my goodness. This was published this year, The Right Place. I think I've had this exact prompt before and pulled both of these books out as options. Let me just see if there's anything else. 2023, 2022. This one, Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, was 2024, but I've recently found out this is an erotic novel. And that's just not my cup of tea. So I think she's just gonna stay on my TBR card forever, indefinitely. Yeah, because I already have a romance, I think I'm gonna go for Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. This is a fatty, but I do like Liane Moriarty. From everything I know, I think she's similar-ish to Ellen Hildebrand, but Liane Moriarty's an Australian, so she's kind of like our Ellen Hildebrand. She writes books that are typically focused on middle-ish aged women, and they're typically crime, thriller, suspense, very much focused on characters, and by the end of the book you kind of feel like anyone could have done it. This one is about a flight, and nothing bad happens on the flight, but there's a woman on this flight who predicts how and when a bunch of people will die, and I believe these things start happening, and so it's kind of figuring that out. That's all I know. On the back, it says Liane Moriarty is a modern day Jane Austen. That's a big call. I'm not sure I would go that far, but I have liked a lot of her books. The Husband's Secret was my favorite. And if you guys didn't know, she wrote Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers, which both became those Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon TV series. So I think this one is gonna be my second book. I'm actually really excited to get to this, and I like that it's a new release. So I feel like I can be, keep up with the times. All right, book number 3. We are gonna go for this one. I never know if they're gonna open the right way, but Book with a Map. I believe. Well, they're in the beginning of every other book, so I believe I can pick Heir of Fire. Yes! Okay, this is very exciting because I am really enjoying this series. It is taking me a little bit to get through and get into, but I'm about 80% done with Crown of Midnight at the time of filming this, which is the end of October. I can't say really anything about this book, but Throne of Glass centers around an assassin, Selena Saradothian, hitting it with those S's. Well, her name starts with a C, but it's very Slytherin vibes. She is a girl boss assassin. She is just very powerful, and she ends up entering this competition to become the king's assassin. And that is where our story starts. But I feel like everybody says this, but the series really takes on a story of its own. Like that first book really is just the intro. I'm still like only really getting into it now. I feel like as it goes on, it'll get more insane, but I can start to see the themes and things that are gonna come up. So anyways, that was a long ramble. I do recommend this series. I'm really enjoying it so far. So Heir of Fire is my third book on my TBR. I'm so excited. All right, prompt number 4. Let's go for this one. Cover that matches your shirt. Okay, well, I'm wearing a gray hoodie, which is from Books with Jess Bookshop, I think it's called. I'm obsessed with her merch. I bought this with my own money, but it's literally like the coziest, most aesthetic hoodie ever. So it's gray, and then it also has like navy blue. So I feel like either of these colors are good to go. I mean, initially this one, I feel like kind of, does it match a little bit? Because the font is silver, which matches the jumper, and then it has like the blue, which matches the blue. I'm gonna keep this out as an option. Keep in mind, I don't have any gray books, so we're gonna have to be a little bit creative. Does this one also kind of match? I feel like that kind of counts. Okay, let me go through. No, this kind of works because of the text. I don't know how well you guys can see this font, but I feel like it actually looks very similar to this font. Wait, I feel like that's kind of the closest we have so far. This is an absolute fatty though, but I have been saying I want to read more fantasy. I think this is our strongest option, so I'm gonna put these 2 books back. No, that's purple. No, the Hamnet color is a pretty strong match as well, so I'm gonna leave that one out. Okay, I do think these are our 2 options, and I'm actually really feeling that this book, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, this is the first book in the Mistborn series. I feel like this is the best match. I hope you guys will agree, keeping in mind that there's no perfect match for a gray hoodie, but like that's a vibe. I can't believe I'm committing to this because this book is, oh my god, it's 600 pages, and look how absolutely packed that text is. So will I get to this? Honestly, who knows, but I really have been wanting to get into high fantasy or just fantasy generally. I feel like I've been reading a lot of romantasy because that is what's popular at the moment. But what I'm finding is I don't really like a lot of the romance. I feel like in Throne of Glass, it feels a little bit different, but I feel like in a lot of the romantasy books I've been reading, like Powerless, things like that, it's coming across as a bit cringe to me, and I don't want to be cringed out by the romance. I want the romance to just be like a subplot and then be really carried away into this like beautiful, fantastical world. So I feel like this is going to be a good choice. So many of you have recommended this book, so let's find out what this is about. The mists rule the night. The Lord Ruler owns the world. For 1,000 years the ash fell. For 1,000 years the scar slaved in misery and lived in fear. For 1,000 years the Lord Ruler reigned with absolute power and ultimate terror, divinely invincible. Every attempted revolt has failed miserably, yet somehow hope survives. A new kind of uprising is being planned, one that depends on the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind and the courage of an unlikely heroine, a scar street urchin who must learn to master allomancy, the power of a mistborn. This sounds great. I honestly feel like that's so vague, but intentionally vague, because with these fantasy series there are a lot of like plot twists and magic, like someone's harboring secret magic and you don't want to know that going into it. So I'm excited. If you've read this, please let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's a point in which I need to like push past. You know, sometimes you need to read like 400 pages before you start enjoying it. So any like tips or whatever about this book, please let me know, because I really do want to read this. All right, we're halfway through. This is book number 5. Book on the cover. Okay, so I'm looking for a book with a book on the cover. No. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. This was on my last month's TBR, but I didn't get around to it. But this has many books on the cover, so this is an option. This has letters, but not books. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies also has a book. Okay, these are our 2 options. I think I'm gonna go for Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies because this is just something I've heard so much about. I've heard it's very cozy, kind of like fantasy but very low stakes. It sounds like Emily Wilde is a scholar and a researcher, and she's writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore, but she's not so good with communicating with people, and so she has issues making friends in the town. There's this guy, Wendell Bambleby, who I feel like it's kind of an enemies love-ish to lovers type of thing, and she's trying to uncover the secrets of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies. This sounds cozy, it sounds cute, it sounds pretty easy, and also my friend Lucy read this and I believe she really loved it. So I'm gonna add this to my November TBR. I'm actually really excited to see what the hype is all about. Prompt number 6, let's do this. Oh, I pulled out 2. We'll do this one. Historical fiction. Okay, I have a few. The 2 that come to mind for me are the Dictionary of Lost Words, which so many of you love, and Hamnet. I have more on this cart, but these are the 2 that I feel like I'm being pulled to. I honestly think I need to do Hamnet because this book has become a joke on this channel. Like, the amount of times I've picked this book up for one of these TBR videos and then put it back is honestly insane. I've owned this book for like 2 years now. It's a bit of a joke. So I think we're finally gonna get around to Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. So many of you have assured me that even though it doesn't sound boring, it's about Shakespeare's son. If you guys have never heard about this, it's a historical fiction about Shakespeare's son that like Hamlet was based off, but we never hear about this son. And so many of you have assured me that even though that sounds like maybe a little dry, it's actually a really phenomenal book. It's won so many awards. I think I'm gonna give this a go. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I really hope I get around to this because I just need to tick this off my TBR cart. Like, this has just been on there for way too long. 2 more to go. Let's go for the 7th prompt. Title that starts with the. Okay, hopefully there's a few. The Dictionary of Lost Words, The Women, The Whispering Dark, The City of Brass. This is a really good option. This book sounds so amazing. It's set in 18th century Cairo, and like, look at this cover. Stunning. So this is my favorite option so far. The Book Thief, The Right Place. The Stranger Times also really intrigues me. This is about like a really cool newspaper. I believe it's set in a slightly fantastical world, and the newspaper writes these stories that are kind of nonsense, or they've been receiving stories that they dismiss as nonsense, but then they realize that they're actually true. I saw one of the staff members leave like a note about this book in the bookshop, and it instantly sold me. So I feel like these are 2 really good options. Let's just see if there's anything else. The Night Circus. Oh, and The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. This is such a quick read as well. This is the sequel to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I really enjoyed. It was so weird, but like so funny. Oh my god, I have so many great options here. These honestly all look amazing. I think purely based on the length, it might be nice to have a shorter book. So I'm thinking I might go for The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. My friend read this and said he actually preferred the sequel to the original, and I thought the original was so funny. Like, you've never read anything like it. It's so bizarre. I feel like this will be good. It's like 200 pages as well. I couldn't even describe to you what A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I can't remember. Couldn't even tell you what it's about, but you should definitely read it. It's definitely an iconic sci-fi book for a reason. It's so weird, but I was like laughing out loud every 5 pages. It's so funny. So I'm excited to add this to my monthly TBR. I do really want to read those other 3 though. They all sound amazing. Final book. Let's go for this one. I have a good feeling about this prompt. Give me something good, please. Part of a series. Oh, well, I already have a bunch. I wonder if The Night Circus is part of a series, because if it is, I would love to read this. And honestly, also this one. I pulled these 2 out in the last prompt, but I'm just gonna quickly check if either of these are part of a series. Okay, The Night Circus, from what I can see, is not part of a series, but The City of Brass is part of a trilogy. So I think I'm gonna go for this one. Like I said before, this is set in 18th century Cairo. It says thieves, tricksters, and con artists eke out a living swindling rich nobles and foreign invaders alike. But alongside this new world, the old stories linger. Tales of jinn and spirits of cities hidden among the swirling sands of the desert, full of enchantment, desire, and riches, where magic pours down every street, hanging in the air like dust. I'm gonna sneeze. Many wish their lives could be filled with wonder, but not Nari. She knows the trades she uses to get by are just tricks and sleights of hand. There's nothing magical about her. She only wishes to one day leave Cairo, but as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. That sounds similar to Powerless, but I know that this came out first. This was 2017, so maybe another author that Lauren Roberts copied, I'm sorry to say, but I picked this up in the bookstore purely based on the cover. Then I went on Goodreads and it turns out that this is a wildly popular trilogy and people say it's one of the best fantasy series of all time. I also love the idea of this setting in the desert. I don't think I've ever read a fantasy book set in the desert, and I play a lot of Zelda, which I know is random, but I love the bit in Zelda where you're like in Gerudo, and it's like the desert town. I just love that setting, so I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this book. I'm excited. I feel like this is a great monthly TBR, so let's recap. These are the 8 books. So we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty, Heir of Fire, which is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams, and The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I hope I said that right. This is a really fun TBR. I don't know if I'm realistically gonna get to all of these, but just because of like the size of a lot of these books, but I'm actually really excited. I feel inspired to read these books, which when you're in a reading slump, you need that inspiration, that desire to actually read. As always, if you guys have read any of these books, if any of these are your favorites, your least favorites, or you just have average thoughts about them, please leave them down below. And also if there are any books that you really want me to read, you want me to purchase for my TBR card, please let me know as well. I'm really just looking for good books at the moment, so any of your favorite books, just send me a DM, leave a comment. I really want to know. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I love making these TBR videos. They're just so much fun. Let me know what's on your TBR for the month, and I will try my best to include a lot of these in reading vlogs in the coming month. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye!